What's up, guys? It's your boy Kittens coming back to you guys with a deck that I created. I'm so proud. It's my baby. I never released a video really talking about it because at the time, Oro got banned. Just straight up, Goldspan Dragon had some funky stuff, this, that, and the other. And I want to talk about this deck because it's a consistent turn 3 combo that at the time, it was turn 3, play your entire library, win the game, or sometimes, fail to win the game and then just kind of lose the next turn because you played your entire library on turn 3. And just it has just been such a fun deck. I made other iterations of the deck using Golden Genesis involving Valakut Exploration as some of the main criminals to do this. But let's talk about the turn 3 lines. There's more than one turn 3 line. The first one that I oftentimes don't use, I oftentimes don't use Grazer, just for different math reasons or whatever. But you use Grazer turn 1, get your second land or whatever, untap on turn 2, then you play your Lotus Cobra on turn 2. You can then play your land for a turn, whatever. You get additional mana, and you can then start your loop of cards that draw you cards, but also give you more land drops. So you Enter the Unknown, the Growth Spiral, the Explorer, the Cleansing Wildfire. You can free play out Grazer. So there's a number of cards where you can do that, and then you have and then you're hoping to on turn 3 have a scenario where you can Genesis Ultimatum and proceed to start playing your entire library. And then in that line you're hoping to find some idealistic lands like the Broker's Hideout and the Fable's Passage, where you can play multiple land drops. And the Broker's Hideout will only take advantage of multiple land drops if you have more than one Lotus Cobra or more than one Provisioner or something like that out at the same time. But your Fabled Passage and in other Eternal formats where you have things like Flooded Strands and whatever, you have more lands where the land will come out untapped and ultimately net you mana to sometimes have idealistic scenarios where your other turn 3 win, which can also technically be another turn 2 line. The turn 3 win is that you just play Lotus Cobra on turn 2, and then on turn 3 you just proceed to have idealistic land drops like the Fabled Passage and the Flooded Strands to play through your Explorer, Wildfire, Spiral, Enter the Unknowns, all these draw a card, play another land cards, to then on on turn 3 have hopefully net enough mana to then Genesis Ultimatum to proceed to play your library. This can also happen on turn 2 if you go Grazer 1 and then Cobra 2, and then you have idealistic land drops with some of your Explorer, Wildfire package. So this deck is just super sweet. When I was playing it, it was just degenerate. I was sitting there like, screw Ugin. Like, that thing comes out on turn 5. I was sitting there like, yo, like a bad hand, and like I'm like, I just still just outright win. Like just certain really strong, like this is just one of those just belligerently strong decks that I was working on and just doing a lot of numbers, and it kind of never quite got exactly where I wanted it to be. This version that I'm showing you guys is just a bunch of cards that are valid in the strategy. This is the first bit of me re-putting on Oro and putting Grazer in there to talk about Grazer. I might not use it, just depending on numbers and some percentages I'm going to run later. And kind of want to talk about some generic stuff, I guess. So this is not the final build, but Goldspan Dragon combos well with Enter the Unknown, where you target your Goldspan. The Goldspan will then generate a treasure, which will tap for 2 mana, and then you get your additional land drop from Enter the Unknown, maybe some 1/1 counters to help seal the game. One of the things you can do is not play Valakut Exploration and just center the deck around drawing into Goldspan, and just have a deck where you're straight up just trying to win beat down strategy with like Goldspan plus Oro. Just straight up, like, Oro gives you life and is a big 6/6, and the freaking Goldspan can fly in. And if you play a bunch of them, it's 16 damage for 1 attack if you play 4. So it's there's a lot of ways to play this deck and enjoy it. I have a lot of different iterations of it. Nowadays, we have Tireless Provisioner. Beforehand, we did not have that. We only had the Lotus Cobra. So a lot of these strategies hinged on a mulligan to find a Lotus Cobra or something like that. Or you just kind of would look at hands where you have 2 or 3 lands, and then you have like 4 of like Enter the Unknown, Explore, Cleansing, Growth Spire, and you're just like, well, I'll just ramp and draw some stuff and hope I find the Cobra, or just naturally ramp into a Genesis. In worst case scenarios, this deck kind of just also performs very well, just straight up. You just see a hand with like maybe 2 lands, a couple Explorers, a Wildfire, and then like an Oro. You could sit there and kind of reasonably say, well, I'm gonna probably be able to cast Genesis on turn 5 if I just draw a couple cards here, and then I'll get some life from the Oro, set the Oro play up. And it's generically a very strong deck. And me as a person, I never did any testing to see what it would be like in Eternal formats, the Vintage Legacy stuff. But I feel like with the access to Lotus Petals, Opals, and things like Black Lotus, and like certain Moxes and things, that could be kind of belligerent. But at the same time, I don't know if it'll ever be at a point where you'll win on turn 1, because the deck does require a number of permanents to be on board, or kind of just ramping into an ultimatum that would then have to be lucky enough to give you the permanence that so there's just kind of there's a weird hinge to it where it might not be too powerful in Eternal formats, but still very playable. The weird thing of it is that it was basically like modern level powerful in Standard, where it's just straight up like a consistent turn 3 I play my entire library. So I just want to bring attention to this deck and talk about it. I'm one of those creators where a lot of my videos end up under pretty much everything is under 100 views, so it's just my dudes. People are hanging out, enjoying the content, that know about some of this stuff, so I hope that this is one of those videos that does maybe get thousands and thousands of views and gets enjoyed. And honestly, this is one of those decks where someone is going to do this besides me. Like, someone is going to break Valakut. I mean, honestly, this is basically what it was, trying to break Valakut. Like, there's definitely, probably definitely mostly decks that are just based around playing a bunch of lands into Valakut and winning the game that way. But so I hope you guys enjoy this build of it. I was the definitely first person to do this, and just definitely was the guy that got Oro banned. Just straight up, the funny thing of this is, like, the other Oro decks don't even compete with it. Like, if you're playing an Oro deck where it's a bunch of Planeswalkers, or Oro with a bunch of board wipes plus like swords and like spot removal and whatever, you're just gonna outright lose on turn 3. Like, just straight up, no bullshit. Like, my entire library's on the board, and you're hoping to board wipe me on turn 4 and 5. Like, you're just dead. So, like, it's one of those things where I look at, like, the other Oro decks that were, problematic, quote unquote, and I'm like, that's cute. So I hope you guys enjoy this build. I love reveling in this moment of building a deck that's just this strong. Me as a Yu-Gi-Oh player back in the day, I built the strongest possible versions of elemental dragons that were stronger than the world tournament versions consistently, 8 to 9 out of 10. So, I've just been such a deck builder over the years and years of me playing card games that I just love. Now that I play Magic so much, that I finally dropped a hot one, a spicy one. So it's just, I just want to revel in that a little bit. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and just, understand this is not a final build. This is just a bunch of, what works in the combo, and generically, there's probably some other good stuff. Peace.